In today's episode, we head back to Las Vegas to spend the day with our good friend Marcel. He assured us this collection was worth the trip on its own, and then it happened. I get blindsided by a surprise that still has me shaking my head. So where are we going now? What's going on? You said you had a collection.
I'm sure you probably would prefer to go deer hunting.
Is that a Northern Idaho joke? Please tell me you didn't think about that for weeks.
or moose watching.
Okay.
I'm sorry. First of all, it looks a lot smaller than it actually is once you get in there. Oh wait, it's a lot
We're
bigger.
at the Antique Mall of America, getting ready to go see some sports cars. Hopefully I can wake this guy up. Hey, it's good. This will be perfect to kick off the day because we're getting ready to go see a collection.
I know.
Just can't wait to see.
I know, that's going to be fun. The next collector, it's going to be fun. You'll see.
This is impressive. You weren't joking.
Oh, but wait.
It's bigger than it was looking from the outside. Is that what you said? Let's play a little guess the price game.
Okay.
What do you think this costs?
$4,000.
$15,000. This would be perfect for the awesome card shop.
There's an artist that does this.
Back in here? All right,
Back
let's
in
take
there.
a look.
On the wall.
Thank you. You want some more 90s score football for your shop?
I mean,
It probably does sell, right? By the pack?
yeah.
Yeah, the conviction in that was stellar. You know what I've noticed though?
What?
People on their phones looking at prices on eBay as they go into booths. I think if people price things below eBay comps, they would sell things more. But it's always priced above eBay comps. Excuse me, sir.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. How are you doing?
Doing good. Do you happen to know where the sports cards are?
Sports cards? No idea. Over.
So I already get a little worried when I see slabs.
As far as like
Just pricing.
pricing, yeah, because the minute you see slabs, you're like,
But there's some cool stuff in here. I mean, even just the chrome PSA 10 Woodson, like the black refractor of Chapman. But it seems like these are pretty high priced. You ever bought an entire?
I've tried at the shows to walk up and just buy the whole booth off somebody, but I've never been successful.
So I'm looking at, we got two of these. We got the 98-99 gold medallion, ultra gold medallions. This is iconic. This one's in not good condition at all, but these are so hard to find in good condition. So this is a 92-93 Fleer Total D. This is probably the one that stood out to me most outside of that triumvirate. He has a price of $700. It's going for about $300, unfortunately.
Hello, this is Michael.
Hey Michael, how's it going? This is Ty. I came across your booth and I thought, I'm gonna give you a call and see if you'd sell everything, all your cards. Would you consider that? Was that something you would?
Yeah, but I don't know, gosh, I don't know really what's in there. I mean, it did take a while to go through it and figure it all out. Unless you've got something in mind or...
Only the singles.
Oh, okay.
Only because we're traveling, so I can't take all that stuff with us. But your comps are obviously a little off because I get what you're doing here. You had to price it higher. But if we were to take it all, do you have an estimate of what you got in here, or do we need to spend some time?
Yeah, no clue.
Let me ask you this: when people are calling up to get discounts on cards, because we look at some of the great stuff you have, and it's
Sure.
priced higher. What do you normally discount?
So I've got to pay them their percentage too, right? So I mean, it depends on what it is.
Okay.
Anywhere between 10 and 15%.
Okay.
Is about normal. Depending on how much somebody buys or what they buy, right? I mean, you're buying raw singles. I've got more room in those than I do on some of the graded stuff.
Yeah.
But but I can definitely work with you. I mean, if there's
Okay.
unfortunately, the credit card cost me 2.5% from them, and they charge me 12 to 14%.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's 15% off. So if I drop 15 below them, it's 30 for me.
Okay. My immediate gut looking at it was like I was going to offer 2,500 for everything, because I was looking at your stickers and you're around probably 4,500, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But I don't know some of the stacks of raw cards you got here. There's a lot of lower dollar stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of lower dollar stuff. I mean, there's some $10, $20, $30 cards in there, but nothing crazy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably have to pass at that just because I don't know on the Kobe stuff and the stacks of Jordans, what's in there as far as dollar wise.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, we actually didn't buy any sports cards. We walked out with a box of Robin Hood and a box of Dick Tracy. Total junk wax, but I don't know, nostalgia. Kevin Costner, popularity with Yellowstone. Come on. So that was a cool spot.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking us in. You know, a lot of times you think it's just about sports cards, but in the hobby, Robin Hood, Dick Tracy, this is great stuff to put out and sell for $3, $4 a pack at a show. People will buy this stuff up.
$3, $4, easy.
Yeah, what do we pay? They're about $1 a pack?
Yeah, we paid $1 a pack.
That's a pretty good deal. Good stuff.
Yeah.
You taking me somewhere else?
Yeah.
Collection? The
Collection,
collection of all
baby.
collections?
I know. I've been talking it up. Let's
All right, let's do it. He's been acting so weird about this collection. I'm just waiting for it to fall through. Anyway, are we actually going to see a collection?
We are.
Okay.
Yeah. I have something special planned.
You mentioned this
So-
was a good customer of yours on the phone.
He is. He's a good customer. He's been coming in now for about a year,
Okay.
and I didn't really get to know him or get chatty with him until about 6 months ago. But ever since, we've gotten along great. He's wonderful, great personality. He's got some really spectacular items.
Have you seen the stuff? Like, is it surprising to you as much as it's going to be to me, or what do you know about this?
So I did see the stuff one time, and it's spectacular, actually.
You seem very hush-hush about this guy. What's he gonna? What should I be looking out for with him? Is it?
No.
Are you planting a friend? Is he setting me up for something? It ain't Idaho anymore. That's for sure. You done putting on your makeup?
Ty has no clue where we're going. It's gonna be a killer surprise. So, one little thing here as I ring the doorbell. This is Rollie Fingers' house.
Rollie Fingers?
Yeah.
Seriously? Time out. So 2 seconds before opening the door, Marcel breaks the news to me that we're seeing Hall of Famer Rollie Fingers. I'm gonna pay him back for that, trust me.
Yeah, man.
Dude, come on.
Yo, hey,
Hey,
Hey, what in?
how are
Hey,
you?
Rollie. I'm Ty.
Hi, Ty.
Really good to meet you.
See ya.
Good to see you.
How you doing, pal?
Yeah,
Nice to see you.
good. Nice to see you. I didn't tell him until just this moment that we were coming to your house. So
Oh, you're a surprise.
surprise, yeah. So
I love Marcel.
big surprise for him. Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
We're excited.
No problem.
Yeah,
No problem.
cool.
I've known him for a while, so I don't know if that's good or bad. But he's a good guy.
Never again will that happen, but now I'm starting to rack my brain and think of all the stats and things I need to know about Rollie Fingers, but we'll make it work. So I'm really curious how you guys met.
He was buying the Pokemon cards, and I thought, well, wouldn't it be fun? I started talking to him, and I realized that you weren't keeping up with baseball. I mean, you don't really keep up.
No,
And so,
I hadn't collected baseball cards in a long time.
yeah, but now I'm throwing out some of the names, and he's like, nope.
No
And
idea. No,
So
I-
he was asking me who am I looking for in these boxes, and so he bought the Cosmic and some other boxes. I told him Julio Rodriguez, Bobby Witt,
Yeah,
Wander Franco. He pulled a Franco out on number to 10.
First box I got off of.
And then it graded a 10. And it's just like incredible. And the redemption came back in like 5 days.
Of course.
We sent it out. All my redemptions are sitting there for like 9 months, a year. We send one in for him. He gets it back 5 days later, grades a 10. So
All my submissions return address is going to be Rollie Fingers from here on out.
Give them to me.
So as a kid, you collected. Did you collect while you were playing too? Or did that
No,
stop?
not so much. I think, once I started playing ball, strictly baseball. I mean, I collected when I was a kid. Became a Dodger fan when they moved out from Brooklyn. And so I started collecting cards 58, 59, 60, 61. I think I collected for about 4 years in that period of time. And then the only other cards I ever got were from Topps when they would, at the beginning of the year, they would send me a box of my own cards. What am I going to do with a box of baseball cards? I had a whole box of rookie cards and I threw them away. I wish I'd have kept them now.
No kidding.
So I stopped collecting cards then. But then I started doing card shows after I got into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I'd walk around and I'd see cards that I used to collect as a kid, and I'd see cards that were maybe $400 or $500. And then I started going through all my old cards and trying to find good ones and then getting them graded.
You went into collecting because you were done playing. Who were the first few players that you're like, I want to start collecting these guys? Was there anybody in particular?
Jeter. When Jeter first came up, I got some of his cards. Not really a whole. I wasn't really that heavy into it.
Okay.
But I started collecting some Jeter cards, and I got a couple of his foil ones that are his rookie cards, and tried to have them graded. But for some reason, the foil cards are tough to get graded because of the size. They say they're, I don't know, a millimeter or half a millimeter smaller than normal. So I would get them back, and they wouldn't grade them.
You're talking about the 93 SP, right?
Yes, the SP.
Yeah.
So I probably got about 4 or 5 of those. But I sent one in and they actually graded it. I only got like a 5 or a 6 out of it.
People always ask, why does that 93 SP sell for so much in a high grade? Because they don't give them out.
PSA's tough. PSA's tough to get a 10. I was going through one box of my 82s that I had, the whole set of 82s, and I was just going through them to see if there was any good ones. I ran across a Ricky Henderson. And I'd sent some 82s in before, and I was getting 6s and 7s. And this one came back at 10, and it blew me away. It came back at an 82 10 on a Ricky Henderson card.
No kidding.
But, it's up there, pretty good as far as money goes.
That's amazing.
Speaking of Gym Mints, if you think this episode is mint or better, do us a huge favor and go crush that like button. And while you're at it, click the notification button to get reminded when our next episode comes out. Back to the show.
I cannot believe I'm sitting on the back porch with Rollie Fingers right this moment. It doesn't even seem real.
The hardest part of my career was after I pitched in '85, was you wake up in March and you got nowhere to go. No spring training. You're out of the game. I'm 38 years old, and what do I do now? I had no job, and so I started working for a communications company in Carlsbad. I worked there for about 10 years, selling gaming stuff. And then I went over to Chromium Graphics, which was a printing company who makes the Topps Finest cards. So I was in the building where they're making all these Topps Finest cards. And I spent a couple years there, and on my birthday, the owner would give me a case of 1993 Topps Finest with the refractor cards in it.
Oh, man.
So now I'm getting, there's 24 boxes in a case, and I get 24 refractor cards. So I started opening those up, and I got no 10s. Out of all those, no 10s. Just got, probably maybe a dozen, 15 9s, which are good cards too. So
wow. So when you retired, a lot of times you hear players that retire, they just knew. They knew it was time. Did you know it was time, or?
I didn't know it was time. I had a problem in Milwaukee getting in games. I had a contract there where I had an incentive clause in my contract where I get $20,000 for every appearance. And it got to September. I'd already pitched in 47 games, so you can add that up. And it got to about the 1st of September, and we're we're out of the race. I mean, we're
Okay.
full 12 games out. So they stopped pitching me only because why are you going to pitch Fingers if if we're not going to go anywhere? So
Yeah.
they started using younger players in games, and I just basically kind of sat on the bench. And the next year I was under contract, but they didn't even want me to come into spring training. They just paid me off for my '86 season.
No kidding.
So,
Wow.
But Pete Rose called me up that winter and wanted me to come to spring training. And I said, sure, I'd be more than happy to pitch for the Reds. So I went, he told me he was going to have the general manager call me back the next day after I talked to him. And the general manager said, we've had a meeting and we'd like to have you at spring training. But there's just one thing, you have to shave your mustache off. And I said, what? I said, yeah, Marge Schatz, she's got a rule, no facial hair. And I said, well, let me think about it and I'll call you back tomorrow. So I talked to my wife and she said, look, it's up to you, whatever you want to do. So I called Burgess up, who's a GM. I said, no, I'm not going to shave my mustache. I said, you tell Marge to shave her St. Bernard and I'll shave my mustache. I never heard back from the Reds. So that's when I retired.
Wow. And what's your logic there? You just that's your identity, or just you just didn't care that much?
15 years I've had it. My kids would have killed me if I shaved it off. So I would have had to dealt with that. So I just said no. I said if you can, I told my agent, you can find somebody who wants me with my mustache, I'll talk with them. But nothing ever happened.
Nothing happened.
Hang tight, we'll be back shortly to head inside and see Rollie's amazing collection. We'll also conference in Mike to do some negotiating of his own. And boy, you're not going to want to miss this.
Now, back to the show.
And you had some injuries while playing.
Yeah.
Did you have your jaw wired shut? Was that?
Yeah, I got hit right here in the face with a line drive. My whole face here is wired together. I got wiring in there. It shattered my cheekbone. And I couldn't see out of my right eye for a couple days. And I went from I think 210 pounds down to 168. I had my teeth wired together with a broken jaw. And so for 2 months that was like that. I was sipping out of a straw. So came back 2 months later and I started pitching pretty good. I put my weight back on pretty quick. I knew there was something wrong because when I bit down, none of my teeth matched up because my jaw was completely broken. And so none of my teeth matched. So I knew there was something wrong then.
Oh, man.
But I hurt my back pitching in a game in Milwaukee. I turned the wrong way and I ruptured my disc pitching. So I had to go to the hospital the next day and they flew me to Scripps Clinic in San Diego and had a back operation for a disc.
So as a closer for you, I mean, you ushered in the modern day version of the closer. You were pitching 7th, 8th, and 9th most of your outings. That's a huge no-no now. I have coached my son's teams, right? It's like you got to monitor their innings because you can't overthrow them for 40 pitches.
Well, that's probably the biggest change in baseball is the usage of the bullpen right now. We went in the World Series in '72 against the Reds. We only had 8 pitchers, and I think in '73 we went with the Mets. We had 9 pitchers, and nowadays you're going in with 12, 13 pitchers. You got 8 guys down there. I don't know how they do it. As far as getting enough work in to stay sharp.
Yeah.
When I was pitching, I loved going out and pitching 3-4 innings. I stayed sharper, my arm was stronger, and I don't know if I could have done it the way they're doing today. I needed a lot of work.
That was going to be my next question. How do you think you would fare against kind of the modern day hitter?
I don't know. Guys are getting stronger. Bats are lighter. The woods are harder. I think balls are harder. Ballparks are smaller. Balls are flying all over the place. I don't know if I want to pitch today. The alleys in a lot of ballparks, they used to be 380, 385.
Yeah.
And now they're shortened up maybe anywhere from 6 to 10 to sometimes 15 feet. So balls that would normally be caught are now in the stands. And, people want to see home runs. I think the most exciting thing in baseball is watching a guy hit a triple. That'll get you out of your seat. The guy hitting a triple, he gets to second base and he starts going, bang, that gets people out of their seats. And you don't see too many of those anymore. I didn't play any organized baseball till I was 12.
Wow.
And I lived in a small town in Ohio. Dad was a steel worker, coal miner, and there was only about, there wasn't enough kids in our town to make a team. So there was about 6 or 7 of us kids, we were about 8 or 9 years old. We played wiffle ball. And so I got used to throwing a wiffle ball and watching now. You know, I could make that thing do all kinds of stuff. And I think that's what kind of caught me on to maybe throwing, you know, being a pitcher. I couldn't do that with a regular baseball because I didn't throw hard enough, you know, when I was younger. But as I got older, you know, whatever you do with your wrist determines what the ball's going to do. And when you get to the big leagues, you don't want to throw anything straight. Ball gets 10 feet from the plate, you want it doing something, cutting, sinking, riding, coming, doing something. Because these hitters are so good, if it's straight, they're going to hit it. So that's what I did when I was pitching. And I had halfway decent control. I had an idea where I was throwing the ball. And that helped me out quite a bit. If you're a closer, you got to have an idea where you're throwing.
Halfway decent control, says Hall of Famer Rollie Fingers. Not even fair. Gotcha. Well, I'm born and raised Kansas City. You were drafted, signed by the Royals, or not the Athletics before they moved. Did you spend time in Kansas City at all?
I came up at the end of the season in 1965. My first year was in Leesburg, Florida, and at the last month of the season, they brought me up to the big club, and I was there in '65. And in fact, I got to saw Satchel Paige.
Oh yeah.
Pitch his last game. I think he started against the Red Sox. Charlie Finley wanted to get him on the medical plan for Major League Baseball, so he had to be an active player. So Charlie started him against the Red Sox, and Satchel, I think, was like 62 or 63 years old, and shut the Red Sox out for 3 innings, and that was it.
No way.
What a story.
Incredible.
So I was sitting there watching that. It was cool.
Yeah.
When I was playing ball, I forgot all about my collection. My mom had it in the attic in a box, and it stayed there for 20 years and never got opened. So, and then she said, hey, I got these cards. I said, well, I got them, and started going through them. And, some of them were messed up because back then when we played, you'd be throwing cards, up against the wall, and all your corners are messed up now.
Yeah.
So none of them were in really good shape.
Yeah.
I've had a few graded and gotten 7s, 8s, but that's about it.
Just crazy, right? We laugh when it was in my attic, my mom stored it, but you
I completely forgot about them for years.
It's incredible. Well, can we see some of your cards? Can you show some stuff off?
Come on.
All right.
Man, that was special. Just sitting on the porch and hearing stories from Rollie has got me excited to go look at some baseball cards. But before we head into the house, stop for a minute and tell us what you think. Do you love seeing Hall of Famers on the show? If so, who should be next? Let us know in the comments below. Back to the show.
Because you were drafted by the Dodgers initially, right?
No, I wasn't drafted.
Okay.
The Dodgers offered me a contract about 2 weeks before Kansas City signed me. They offered me $20,000. Tom Lasorda wanted me to sign because he knew he'd seen me pitch before. And my dad said, no, I don't want you to sign with the Dodgers. They just won the World Series. They got Koufax, they got Drysdale, they have 20 minor league teams. You'll be buried in the minor leagues if you sign with the Dodgers. Huh. And so Kansas City offered me $13,000. Started at 10, and my dad went up to 15, and they settled at 13. So I settled $13,000. I gave my dad $3,000 in cash. I bought my mom a sewing machine because she wanted a sewing machine. I bought a 57 Chevy, and I blew the rest. I had a blast.
Incredible.
It turned out okay. I can't complain.
Yeah.
I got 3 rings.
You got a lot of awards. Come on.
Doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. So what are we looking at here? Just some random stuff?
This is just stuff, went through, cards that I had, these here are 50, that's 59s. These are I got probably take to see Ozzy when I go back to the hall. I get Ozzy to sign those or something. And
this is standing out to me immediately. So 72 World Series. Pete Rose is the last out. You're pitching. What's that moment there? There's 2 tickets.
That was pretty interesting time because I had gotten the first 2 guys out in the 9th inning, and Darrell Cheney came up, and he was a left-handed hitter, and threw him a breaking ball down and hit him in the foot. And so he went down to first base after I hit him, and I look up and there's Pete Rose standing there. Now I got to face Pete Rose for the last out with a guy on base and 2 outs in the 9th inning of the 7th game of the World Series.
And the score at that point's 3-2.
3-2. So Dick Williams comes out of the dugout, and Dave Duncan, my catcher, met Dick at the foul line and said, don't take him out, he's throwing the ball good, because Dick wanted to bring in Vita Blue to pitch to Pete. He wanted Pete hitting right-handed instead of left-handed. But Dave Duncan talked to him and said to him, leave him in, he's throwing the ball good. And so he did, and Dick got the mound. I said, look, I don't want to see anything middle of the plate in, everything away, hard and away. I said, okay. We went back to the dugout, and the first pitch I threw was a tailing fastball away, and Pete swung at it. I was surprised he swung at it because it was a ball. And he hit a nice little lazy fly ball to Joe Rudy in my field, final out.
They have won 3 of the 4 games played in Cincinnati.
Amazing. So those are World Series tickets. Obviously, got a standing room only and a very expensive Plaza Reserve. $10.
Wherever Plaza Reserve's at.
Yeah.
I got those. I saw those at card shows, and the people selling, they had old tickets, and I saw both of those at the card show, so I bought them. I think they were maybe, back when I bought them, they were like $15, $10, something like that. They were just selling them.
Yeah. How mad would you have been if the auto wouldn't have been a 10? Being that it's your own auto.
I didn't care. I didn't care.
It's like, come on, man, it's my own auto.
But this right here, we were talking about this earlier. Why don't you tell us again? This here, these booklets, are these Hall of Fame induction booklets? Is that what this is?
These are the programs that they give out to everybody, or they may purchase them. And what I do is when before we get on the bus to go to the induction ceremony, they have these out on the tables for all Hall of Famers, and guys will get them signed. Maybe some guys just might get the guys that are going in to get signed. So I usually get that, and then I'll walk around the tables and I'll ask the guys to sign them. So some of these I got probably 30, 40. There's a couple of them in there. I think I got like 50 autographs on them. Most of the guys back then, they had pretty good handwriting. And you can, after a while, you can tell, I know that's a Yogi Berra, that's a K-line.
You got to put eyes on this. It's just incredible. Look at this.
Oh, Hall of Fame placards.
My goodness.
Back when I got into the Hall of Fame, all the Hall of Famers would go to the school, and all the Hall of Famers would be sitting at a table in the auditorium, and we'd all be signing placards and giving them to kids. I mean, we must have went through 200 or 300 kids, and every kid would get a placard from every player. And so at the end of the signing, I would go over to the guys and, hey, give me a couple. And so I would get every player. And over the years, I'd get maybe, right now I got about a dozen. Harmony Killebrew, Dick Snyder, Pee-wee Reese, Gaylord Perry, Warren Spahn, Willie Mays, Brooks Robinson, Whitey Ford, Stan Musial, Yogi. This Hall of Fame placards from every guy. Juan Marichal.
So here's what I like about Rollie Fingers' collecting style. He's viewing this from the standpoint of a true collector. He knows a lot of these players. He goes to the Hall of Fame ceremonies. So everything that he puts his time and money into, you can tell he has emotional attachment to as well. It's really neat just seeing him tell the stories behind all of these pieces of memorabilia and cards. You never ever get that when you're seeing collections from the modern day collector. Gosh.
Just hold on to them.
So cool. You just don't see that. How cool is it that anytime Rollie Fingers wants, he can walk over, open his kitchen cabinet, and find stacks of autographed Hall of Fame baseballs and memorabilia from earliest 30s. It's mind-blowing what he has access to.
Those are all
That's cool.
58s through 61s. They're not in real good shape, but
Yeah.
autographed. That's all I cared about.
I love that Spawn. 59.
And the better cards I've gotten graded.
Gosh, these are so cool. Oh, the bear is cool.
Yogi Bear.
Yeah.
That one's beat up. I didn't get Mays. I didn't get Mays signed too many things.
That was 74?
Yeah, Joshua hit a ground ball back to me. I threw to tennis, and then they got on me in a hurry there. I didn't realize how heavy Bando was.
He's basically parallel with the ground in that picture.
He's in
That's
the
crazy.
Air. He's in the air. Oh, I was in an elevator with Hank Aaron probably 20 years ago, and maybe even longer than that. And we were on the elevator down. He said, hey, Rollie, would you sign a dozen baseballs for me? And I said, sure, I'll sign a dozen for you if you sign a dozen for me. He said, okay. So about a week later, There's a dozen baseballs signed by Hank Aaron. I've seen him a dozen.
The access he's had to Hall of Famers over his career is just incredible to think about.
Well, this is one he could still write pretty good too. I mean, his penmanship is in pretty good shape.
It is in good shape.
He tells the story, then he shows you the item, and then you want the item.
Oh, the old National League balls. You don't see those anymore.
Hey, what's up? Hey, so I'm standing outside of Rollie Fingers' house.
Very jealous.
Marcel told me about 2 seconds before we rang the doorbell that I was going to see Rollie Fingers.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to introduce you to a friend of mine.
Yeah.
This is Mike.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Hey, Rollie. Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you.
So I've been showing him some pictures.
I like the beard, man. At least you got some facial hair. I can deal with that.
Yeah, you got a little more gray than I wish.
Stargell, Billy Williams, Killebrew, Slaughter, Lemon, Feller, Boudreau, Williams, DiMaggio, Banks, Monty Irvin, Bob Gibson, Johnny Bench, Robin Roberts, Johnny Mize, Bobby Dorr, and me.
And me.
There's probably, 22, 23 autographs on that ball, but it's pristine. Well, they're real. I've gone to card shows, and I'll go by a booth, and I'll see a Rollie Fingers ball, and I'll say, hey, that's not my signature, man. I never said, yeah, it is. I says, no, it's not my signature. It's not my signature. And they're selling it.
Yeah, yours is incredibly consistent. Do you get tired of signing your name, or do you enjoy
No,
it?
it's easier than pitching.
Balls, yes or no?
The balls
The
are
baseballs?
funny. I'm not much of a ball collector.
Okay.
There's plenty of them. Like, they're worth a lot of, they're valuable.
Yeah.
They're very liquid. You'll have no problem moving.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
All right, Mike.
See you in a little bit.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.
I knew he'd go crazy. Yeah, so I called Mike up and look, I wish Mike was here. It didn't work out with travel. I also didn't know Rollie Fingers was going to be the guy we're meeting today, but Mike would have just salivated. His jaw would have dropped the second he walked in. You could just tell the sincerity he had as he was asking questions and using the term sir and everything he said. He never does that. Mike loves this stuff, and seeing what he was buying and interested in, you could just tell it was a love for the game and a love that Rollie Fingers shared with Mike. It was pretty cool. What was your favorite ballpark to pitch in?
Old Yankee Stadium.
Okay.
Where they have the monuments. That and Fenway.
Yeah.
A lot of history in both those ballparks. In fact, my first time in New York, I went out to the ballpark early, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We just came into New York, and I said, I'm going out to the ball. I just walked around the field, went out to the monuments, and looked at home plate. It's like a half a mile from those monuments to home plate. And then, you stand on the mound, and you get in the batter's box. I walked in the batter's box, left-handed, Ruth and Gary and all these guys played. It was pretty cool.
When I stepped out, one of the things that stuck out to me in talking to you just for a few minutes was just hearing you talk makes you love the game of baseball more.
That's cool.
The passion that comes out of you and the.
Well, that's cool.
Well, thank you so much, Rollie.
All right, my pleasure.
So
Glad you guys could come by.
We agreed on some things.
Yeah.
Sorry, we had to call Mike like 10 times to get it all worked out, but I'll recap real quick some of the things that we got. We're working on closing the deal out on this. There's 7 programs.
All right.
These are just duplicates of yours, right? This is the one that I'm still most excited about. It's a 72 World Series ticket.
Okay.
Your lower grade one, so numbers to be determined. But
Well, it's only worth $6.
deal. Matt was able to grab some cool things, a Musial autograph, a Warren Spahn autograph, and I think he's pretty excited about this Hank Aaron autograph.
Good balls.
Good stuff. You were kind enough to give us some 75 postcard autographs, so thank you for that. Mike snagged some autographs, your own autograph. We know this, right? Ozzie Smith, Gossage, Fingers. And then I am excited to buy this ball from you, but for my boys.
Oh, cool.
So thank you for that. Thank you for working with us. And
Don't forget mine.
oh,
I'm working on this.
He's working on that one, yeah.
what's going on with this? This is a George Bush autograph. How did you get that? Did you acquire this auto yourself? Is that the
No, I
story?
was at an event, and I walked up to the bar, and President Bush walked up right behind me, and I turned around and said, Mr. President, how are you? He says, can I buy you a drink? He says, sure. I said, would you sign my $5 bill? He says, yeah. So he signed my $5 bill.
This going into your collection? You collect?
Oh yeah, I collect presidential autographs. I've got a lot of them. I'm missing all the big boys, but no.
Cheapo. You realize you don't even care about PSA to authenticate anything because you already know the story.
Yeah.
And so all of that, like anything that I got or we got, if it wasn't authenticated, I don't want it authenticated. Well, we have a favor to ask of you.
Sure.
So we would love. We know in this day and age we're exchanging lots of jerseys at games and things like that. We want to give you a Chasing Cardboard hat.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
And then we'd love for you to sign a Chasing Cardboard hat that we can give to one of our viewers.
CHAS. Keep chasing. Rollie Fingers.
That's cool.
And I'll stick HOF down here too. There you go.
Look at that.
Oh, that's so pretty.
So cool.
Oh man, thank you, Ty.
Rollie, thank you so much.
All right,
It's a
thanks.
pleasure.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
it.
coming by. Appreciate
Yeah.
it. All right.
Thank you, Rollie.
Marcel,
Yeah.
we'll see you later,
Awesome.
I'm sure. I'll
Thanks
see
for
you.
making time. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Talk to you later.
Man.
See ya.
See you later. Thanks for the hat.
In closing, I'd like to say to every relief pitcher before me, every guy who ever had to sit in a bullpen, every guy who ever had to sit and wait for a phone call to ring, and every guy who ever had to walk into a pressure situation, you all own a piece of this. You're all winners, and this day confirms it. Thank you.
Now that was a surprise I'm never gonna forget. It was a pleasure meeting Rollie and seeing his collection, but now it's time to get back on the road and see where our next collection takes us. And don't forget, we have an entire library of other episodes that you're gonna love just as much. Check them out now.